When I was much younger, the enemy came to me several times to kill me, even before I answered the call of God. I remember then when I died, my first experience of death, and I knew I've died, I was going to heaven, I knew I was going to heaven. And three entities blocked me. And the one in the middle said, "Child of God, where are you going?" I said, the battle is over. I am victorious. I'm going back to the Lord. Let God take care of my family and everything I left behind. And then that one in the middle said, "We are not going to accept you here. We are not going to accept you here. You have not done anything. You have not even scratched the surface. You have a gigantic work to do on earth. Go back and tell them to worship the Lord." And the power that was exuding from them pushed me around, and I turned, and I knew that I was going to have left them. It was paining me, but suddenly I found myself again in my house, and I was looking at my body, and my body was just like a piece of rag. And I wore my body again and entered and opened my eyes. And the Lord said, "Will you be my servant?" And how did it happen? Because that night, after I had done my prayers, my honored prayers, I went to bed, and the enemy, a big entity, entered into the bedroom. I was lying beside my wife, and this big entity came and held me here. And I was looking at this big entity. I was not sleeping. So big. And I was hitting at this big entity, and my punches were landing on his body, but it was as if they were landing upon air. Then I shouted, "Jesus." The entity left, and it came the second time, and I was shouting, and my wife was asking, "What is going on? Why are you restless? Why are you fighting?" That means she was not seeing what I was doing. What I was seeing. It's good to be spiritual. It's good to be close to him so that he can open your eyes. One of his work, he says to us in Luke chapter 4:18, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me that I may do what? To preach the gospel to the poor, and to heal broken hearts, and preach deliverance to the captives, and recovery of sight to what? To the blind, to open the eyes of those who are spiritually blind, of course, as well as physically blind." So I was fighting with Satan, and I was seeing Satan, and it was not a dream, and I was kicking the wall, and my wife was not seeing Satan fighting me. And if I did not know the Lord, I would have died, isn't it? So I would have died by the side of my wife. You could have imagined what it will do to her. And then some people, if she were an Urobo lady or a black lady, they would say that the woman is what? The woman is a witch. That she killed her husband. And this happened several times because people don't see. And they said the third time, I opened the Bible to Revelation chapter 12, verse number 10. And I put it this way: in my mouth, we defeated the enemy with the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I held it in my mouth. Hold it in your mouth. I opened the Bible and held that place, and the devil came and pressed both the Bible and my mouth to kill me. So the power is not in the book. The power is in the word, not in the book. And I was shouting. And I was yelling, "What is going on? What is the problem?" She jumped out of bed. "What is it? What is it?" She was not seeing, and she didn't know I was going. And I said, Jesus. And the enemy left. The Lord said, go out and begin to pray. So I went out to pray, moving just around the house. I was living in a bungalow then. Until I got tired, I came to the living room, prostrated to pray. It was then I passed out and found myself in eternity. And the three entities, the one in the middle was the Lord. He said, go back and tell them to worship the Lord. I will never forget the experience. This is the reason several times I say, if people say that churches must be closed, people tear the Bible and they say there's nothing in the Bible. It is a deception. People say there's nothing like Jesus. People can say any manner of things against religion, but I have an experience that nobody can take away from me. I have an experience. Of course, I have several of these experiences of this personality called Jesus. I love him with all my heart because he is real.